do the Maimer in Malmorim Maluket, the fourth Chelik. This is the 37th Maimer, which the Rebbe said on Leil Gimel Disliches in the year Tovshin Chof. The Maimer is L'cho Omar Libi Bakshu Ponai Goimer. This Maimer was later on published in Tovshin Memtes in a booklet of Gimel Sliches in honor in the third day of Slichas. The date over there was Motzoi Shabbos Kodesh Chav Gimel Elul Hey Tovshin Memtes. So we'll do the minor inside. The minor Leil Gimel Dislichas Tovshin Chav L'cho Omar Libi Bakshu Fonai Goimer. So this is in the Ledovid Hashem Oiri in the Tilim Perik Chav Zayin Pasuk Ches, in which we say during the month of Elul, and in the Pasuk it says L'cho Omar Libi. So we're saying to you. What does it mean to you? Libi, my heart says, but then it says Bakshu Fonai. What is the meaning of L'cho Omar Libi Bakshu Fonai? So maybe kvoit kedushas meiri chomi admur b'ma'amore libur hamasachil zeh. So my father-in-law, the Rebbe, in his Maimer that opens up with this l'chomer libi, he brings down Pirush Rashi ala posik, what Rashi interprets on the posik. Rashi says that the b'lecho shnei pirushim, that there is two pirushim over here. One means bishvilcha bishlichoscha. For you, for you meaning for you, as your agent. So what he's saying, as an agent of Hashem, as a shliach of Hashem, my heart says, and this is what the sender, who I'm an agent for, says that Bakshu Fonai, that seek my Fonai. The Eibishter is saying, as to through my heart, which is an agent of Hashem, seek me, seek my Fonai. The other taich is Ubimikoimcha, as your agent, and also Rashi explains Bimkoimcha, in your place, in the place of Hashem. The Rebbe will explain a little bit more that there is a shliach of the Eibishter, or in place of the Eibishter. My heart says, Bakshu Fonai as Ponecho, either the shliach or as in place. But Umamshir B'Hamaimer, so the Maimer continues that what is the meaning of Bakshu Fonai? Shegam beVakshu Fonai Shnei Pirushim. That also when it says seek my face, there is two Pirushim. So Shebakshu hu Bakoshu Tchino. One of the Bakshu means not to seek, but Bakshu means request. Bakosha, ask for. Ask for Ponai. Ask for Ponai. But Tchina, beseeching, a request of beseeching, that we beseech and ask for Ponai. And another pshat, Vishabakshu, means seek, Hubakosha v'chipus, that we're asking and searching. Search for Ponai. We're asking to seek and find and search for Ponai. And the Maimer of the Friedrich Rebbe explains the Shnei Inyonim Elu. These two aspects that we're begging Hashem, requesting, and that we're searching of Hashem is davening. In davening, we do both of these things. We ask for Hashem to have success in seeking and finding Hashem. Bakoshu tchino, bakoshu v'chipus, to ask and beg, and loshen bakshu, request, and bakshu v'chipus, loshen to ask and search, loshen bikush, and bitfilo in davening. The tefillah he bakoshu tchino. prayer itself, prayer is a request and a beseech, asking and praying and asking of Hashem. But what are we asking for? V'habakoshehi, and the request is sheyatzliach ba'aveidoseh, that he should succeed in his service, lechapes v'limtzoi darkei hatikun b'chol inyonov, to succeed in his service, that he is searching, and to find the ways to correct in all of his matters. So that we're asking Hashem and praying to Hashem to be successful in the bakshou, in the seeking and finding ways to fix all of the person's matters. Zehu mashikosu, because this is the prayer. That's why the pasuk uses the word libi, not lecho omar. For you or your play, where say libi dafka. Omar libi bakshu fonai libi dafka, my heart. Kishnei ha'inyonim, because these two aspects, the bakshu fonai that we just said in begging for panai, seeking panai, hein betfilah. That's part of the davening canal. And davening is in the heart. Tefillah hi avodah shebelev. The Gemara says, Eizu avodah shebelev zu tefillah. Tefillah is the heart. So lechomer libi, to you my heart, when I daven, I pray that I should be able to seek Hashem and to find the ways to pray for Hashem and seek for Hashem. So the Maimer says the ba'avodah shebelev shnei inyonim, that service of the heart, there is two aspects. There is the service, the heart, and the service that is with the heart, the soich halev, inside the heart or with the heart, through it. So the Rebbe ties in now the Yeshleimar. Rebbe could say these two aspects of in the heart and with the heart line up with the two interpretation of Bakshu Bonai, the prayer and the searching for correction. The Bavodah Shebelev of the Behesim Yeshleimar, the Shnei Yonim Elu that we're saying that the Friedrich Rebbe writes, in the heart and with the heart, Hein Behesim L'Shnei Apirushim D'Le'il. This fits the two interpretation of before the Bakshu Fonai in Bakshu Fonai. The Habakoshu Tchino Shebitfilo Bo Al Yidei Ha'avodah B'toich Halev. The request, the first interpretation of Bakosha, asking and beseeching Tchino, that is in davening, that comes Al Yidei Ha'avodah B'toich Halev. That comes through the Avodah, which is in the heart. Shebichdei Sha'abakosha V'hatchino Shaloi Tia Be'emes. In order that the person's asking, requesting, and his beseeching, the tchina, should be truthfully, who al yidei av shameir eslibai, that is through arousing and waking up the heart. That is avodah b'halev atzmei. That's an avodah in the heart itself. That's the heart to be nisoirer, so that he truthfully will want and ask for Hashem. But the second part, to search, that he's praying for success in his search, the search, the bakshu, the researching of the davening, of how to correct all of the person's matters, im halef, that's working with the heart. Hainu sha'avodah loy behalev. Over there, the avodah is not with the heart, that the heart should truthfully want, but the heart should be used ela b'chol inyonav. But that this should be used in all of his matter, he should using the heart and the searching that should be, that's not the heart itself. But that's everything what he does that they should be correcting them. But how do you do that service of searching for everything is mit with the heart, but it's not in the heart. That is through the heart. Base. So that's what the Rebbe associated the two, the Teichalev, Imalev, with the two Pirushim that the previous Rebbe brought down in Bakshu, Fonai, whether it means the prayer, which is the heart itself, and Bakshu Fonai, to seek success in the avodah, that's with the heart. So the virus had to explain this. Magdin the Maimer introduces Masha Kosuf, what the Pasuk says, sorry, from my flesh I see godliness. Pasuk in Eve says that we can see Hashem from our flesh, from our physical body. Why is it that we are specifically going to see godliness from the flesh of our body and not from the soul? The Tzarich Lahavi, so we need to understand Harei Iker Hu HaNefesh, but the main is the soul. Why does it say here, from my flesh I see, so the Maimon explained the Beriya Yeshnom Shnei Eifanim, that when we say seeing, there's two levels of seeing. There's a seeing which is an intellectual. There is an intellectual, you see something with your intellect, and you see it physically. We're a practical. A intellectual seeing it intellectually is more attributed to the soul. And Viriya Muchoshis and a practical seeing, the Siachesis Yosef Elaguf, it is associated more with the body. The Chiluk Zeh Ugam Benegeya the Dover Hanira. Even to things that are actual visible, there is also, when things are actually visible, there is how it is visible. Do you see it with the intellect, or do you see it with the with your body, with the physicality? The Bechol Dover Yesh Kuf Nefesh. In every item there is the body and it's the soul of it. Shagam Bedvorim Gashmim Yesh HaNefesh Shabahem. Also in the physical matters there is the soul that is in the physicality. And also on the other hand, Begam Bedvorim Ruchniim. And also in spiritual matters, Yesh Haguf Shabahem, there is the body. And that's why he says, from my flesh I see God. We want to say the seeing is not an intellectual seeing, it's not an understanding, but it's actually what we see. What is the intention when he says I see godliness? That's in a vivid, in an actual seeing of godliness. Gives example, the Yeshnom in Yonei Elikius, there is matters of godliness. How could one say that you see, with Muchash you see godliness? So he says the Yeshnom in Yonei Elikius, there are godly matters. As divine providence that you can see it vividly. So there's matters that you can actually, godly matters, like divine providence. You can actually see it vividly, in actuality. So that's why the pasuk says here, "Mibsori echzel lekad," because this is a vision like the flesh, which is a very vivid. It's a stronger vision. So even in godliness, we can see sometimes, like Bashgocha Pratis, we can see actually b'muchash. That's why it's mibsori echzel. Umamshich b'hamaimer, and the Maimer continues bepirush hakosu umibsori echzel lekad, explaining the verse mibsori echzel lekad. The koiches nefesh ha'odom mishtalshlis mehasfiras shalamaylo, that the powers of the soul of the man, the koiches that the soul possesses, that soul of man possesses, they evolve mehasfiras shalamaylo, from the spheres of above. Kamasha Kosuf, the Pasuk says, Nasa Odom b'tzalmenu kidmusenu. Pasuk says, when the Eibishter created man, he said, well, let's make man in our image, our look-alike. So a man was created in the look-alike of above. V'lochein mikoiches nefesh ha'odom efsher lahovin hasfiras shel. That's why, from the powers of the human soul, we can understand the way it is in the spheres above, because it is in the image of above. It comes from above, and it's the basic setup from above. So when we look at the soul, the powers of the soul, we can also have the understanding about the spheres of above. So the Maimer continues later on. The Maimer of the Friedrich Rebbe continues the Achar Shemavayev Ba'arichas Ha'inyan, the Mibsori Echzel Leka, after explaining at length the idea that I see from my flesh godliness. He says, Shabichdei Shatia his Eirus Hamidus Shabelev, Tzricha Liyos Hachon Lazeh. In order for it to be an awakening and arousal from the midas of the heart, you need to prepare yourself for it. The Hagam Sheis Eirus Hamidus Shabelev, his bonus. Although that the emotions of the heart are awakened, aroused through reflection, through meditation, but mekomokim is still b'chdei sha'oir ha'meichin yoir b'libe, so that the light of the intellect shines in the heart, la'oirer es hamidas, to wake up the midas. For that to take place, you need to also prepare yourself from the heart. The heart needs to be prepared. How do you prepare the heart? So the heart should be tuned up so that the mind, the brain, the moichin will impact it. The preparation for that is the bitterness that precedes the davening. By through reflecting in the goal of the descent of the neshama below, that it is for the purpose of an elevation, that the soul comes down so that it can be elevated. Through the service that the neshama does in this world by studying Torah and doing mitzvahs, she is elevated to a higher level than she was before it descended. And then reflect on how he actually conducts himself The neshama was sent down to make it even higher. And what is the actual conduct of the person? Not only isn't he occupying himself as need to be in Torah and mitzvahs, and therefore, the elevation of the soul that takes place through that descent is not complete because he's not doing Torah mitzvahs properly. But it's even worse than that. Through his undesirable actions, who made it as nishmosei lemato oid yosef. He brings down his soul even lower. Especially the person when he reflects on the example that the Alter Rebbe gives in the Tanya, the one who holds the king's head and puts it down into the dirt. So then, he will come to a great bitterness. And this bitterness, this becomes the plowing in the earth, in the ground of his heart. So now it's become ready for that awakening, for that arousal. His through the true reflection and the midas shabalev in the emotion of the heart. He's now prepared to get that light, just like the rain, before it can successfully make the ground grow, needs to plow it. You need to plow the heart. And the bitterness that you have through the reflection, how you are not accomplishing the goal of having an elevation for the soul, but you're actually descending it further. This makes you bitter, and that's the plowing of the heart. So the Maimer continues, the Kolza Ugam, this is true all days of the year, but especially in the month of Elul, Shuzman, his Galus Yud Gimel Midei Sarachamim, which is the time that the 13 attributes of mercy are revealed. And that time especially is the time to plow and to prepare yourself and to bring about the arousal of the midas through the reflection. Because this revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy of Elul, this is across the board. Everybody is beneficiaries of this special oil. Even to those who are very far. The melech basada, as the example of the king in the field. Then they're allowed and able everyone who wishes to greet the king. The limsalo is b'kasho, the Rebbe adds in the parentheses, and to pass to the king their requests. And he accepts everyone with a good countenance, shows everybody a smiling face. So then is a special time to have this reflection and to this arousal and this plowing of this heart to allow for it to be inspired through his reflection. Yesh lo the Rebbe adds in the brackets, the Hagam Shabir B'Hamaimer B'Hamailas the Chodesh Elu Bo B'Hemshech Li'in Hamarirus, that even though in the Maimer, then when does he explain about specialty of Chodesh Elul? After talking about the level of bitterness, the plowing of the heart. The Kivan Shabelu Hagilu Yugim Mitzarachamim Gam L'Rechokim. Since the month of Elul is a time of revelation of the 13 attributes of Rachamim, also those who are distant. Lochein, Huzman Mesugul B'Yoser Lasis Charisha Bekarka Levova Idamiridus. That's why it's a very auspicious time, very much to do that plowing in the heart's earth through his bitterness. So Hagilui di Yud Gimul Midasarachamim Shebe'elul. So the Rebbe adds, it's not only that this should add to the bitterness, to the plowing of the ground. The Rebbe says that this revelation of Yud Musarachim Elul, this should also add in the aspect of joy. The Bekiv on Shebe Elul Mare HaMelech Ponim Sechakos L'Kulom. Since in Elul the king shows a smiling face to everybody, then this should wake up, arouse, kamayim haponim leponim, as the reflection of a face to the water, which shows back the same face. It shows additional joy in the service of the king. So the Rebbe adds, not only does the month of Elul have the opportunity to add, because of Yud Gimel Mitzarachamim, to the avodah of Merirus, of Charisha Bekarka, because the Eibishter is open to everybody, but it also actually has an impact in the avodah of Simcha, because Kamayim Aponim Leponim, the Eibishter shows Simcha and Ava to everybody. That brings back additional Simcha in the service of the king. Nevertheless, the Rebbe's addition, that also this impacts the level of Simcha. But nevertheless, it's an opportune time. Masai and the Maimer, so the Maimer concludes, Da pirush lecho amar libi bishvilcho ubishlichuscho. When we say in the first shot that lecho amar libi was for you as your agent, who shahalev hu bishvila yizborech, that the heart is for Hashem, lahashlim ritzoyne yizborech lasis es amato dira lo yizborech, that the heart is for Hashem to make the lower world a dwelling place for Hashem blessed. And when we say l'chomar libi, in your place, that in the place of Hashem, not as an agent, but in the stead of Hashem, hu inyan nekudas hayadus sheyeshna b'kol echad v'echad miYisrael. That's the point of Yiddishkeit, which exists by each and every one of the Jewish people. Shem b'kusheres ba'atzmus, which is tied to atzmus. So there is the part of connection of doing it for Hashem as an agent, and there's a part of l'chomar libi in place of Hashem, which is the essence of a yid, which is connected to atzmus. So the Rebbe is going to explain these inyonim now in details, in the meaning of b'shvilcha, that it means b'shlichuscha, and the various different levels in detail.